It's Helen time. Okay. Now let's start with this picture. What entails a strategic planning process? What happens when people strategize for vision and craft strategy? Let's take a look at the faces of some adults. We have this. These are from the largest company in Malaysia, and I work with them. All sorts of expression that we have. Yeah, and some even thought it's funny. And here you have executives all like men in black, and after 1 hour is kopitiam style, so it's like miserable. Okay, we have one Captain Jack Sparrow here while strategizing, and he took that and did all that. So I was mortified because I was sitting next to him. And this is from the, forgive me, IJN, this is from Institute Jantung Negara. I spent some time with them earlier in January. So that's laughing at his boss, trying to figure out what's the vision for 2025. Okay, and we have this, the primary school children, they are strategizing as well. So basically what I'm trying to present today is that the title of my presentation is Mental Juggernauts, Strategizing to Win. Actually, the initial title was not Mental Juggernaut. I was so busy at that time, and the committee kept asking for the title, and in between my busy work, I was kidding with them, and I said that, well, what about Mental Juggernaut? So we have this conversation. A few weeks later, I was told that, okay, your title is Mental Juggernaut. I said, no, I was kidding them. No, but it went all the way to the print. I said, oh. Yeah, so this is really testing me as a strategist. This is strategy 101. So the only thing I said, okay, do or die, it has to be that. So finally I sent her Donald Trump face. So here we go. Now, let's just, what the heck is Juggernaut? Shall we have a quiz? Now, A, would that be a stepbrother of X-Men founder Charles Xavier? Any hands? No. Would that be the avatar of Cytorek? No. Would that be a large, powerful, and massive force? Yes, very quiet, yes. But actually, it's all the above. Yes, Juggernaut. However, for the purpose of my talk today, we are talking about C, a large, powerful, and massive force, and that is strategizing. Why? Because strategizing traditionally belongs to the C-suites, people who make decisions and affects our lives, right? Now, why do people strategize? If I may bring you back to this old ancient history, one of the greatest naval battle in the history, I would say one of the greatest. I've shared this with some of my students. It's really awesome. Here we have Admiral Yi from the Joseon dynasty, that is the modern Korea. He inherited 13 ships from the previous admiral who really screwed things up. All right, who really screwed things up, and he was left with 13 battleships. And the Japanese sank many of their battleships before that. And the Japanese fleet then, knowing that they were left with only 13 battleships, 333 battleships from Japan advanced to Korea. And the king was mortified, and of course the king sent a letter to Admiral Yi and said that, please, it's okay lah, surrender, put up your white flag. However, Admiral Yi sent a letter back to the emperor, and he said, Your Highness, I still have 12 battleships to command. Would you dare to say that? He told the emperor, I will fight. Why 12 battleships? Because one is where he was on, where he would command, and the other 12 would do all the defense that's necessary. So having said that, it is very clear the mission would be to protect the Joseon dynasty. What did he do? Did he attack? Did he went out to meet the 333 battleships from Japan? Because we're talking about one battleship against how many? Do the equation. Can you do the maths? You're tired already. 25 ships. Can you imagine that? 25 ships. But what did he do? He went down to all the straits all the island, and he settled at the Myeonyang Strait. Why? He looked at the Myeonyang Strait. The strait was narrow. The current was very powerful that only one ship can go at one time. And the Japanese didn't know this. All right? And apart from that, on a particular day, he decided that they would lure the Japanese to Myeonyang Strait. It was heavily misty, reduced visibility. Now, what is this in modern management? This is scanning the environment, environmental scanning. This is the modern SWOT analysis. Do you see that? And they engaged the Japanese on that day when it was so misty. Almost all of the Japanese ship was sank. The admiral were killed. There was chaos in among the Japanese camp. Now, actually, out of the 333 ships, 200 ships were bringing supplies for the ground forces that is ready to take on the capital city. The ground forces could not receive the supply. If anybody here read Sun Tzu, Art of War, that is the very thing that you do when you want to defeat your enemy. And what is that? Cut their supplies. Not only did Admiral Yi defeated the Japanese naval fleet heavy casualty, he also ensured that the Japanese ground forces failed to invade the capital city. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, shows just how important it is to understand your strength and your weaknesses and the opportunities and the threats out there. When you lead the firm, when you lead the family, when you lead the army like Admiral Lee. So this is a timeless thing. Okay? So he was an avid learner of Sun Tzu. What did Sun Tzu say? Sun Tzu was very clear about that. If you know yourself and your enemy, 100 battle is yours. Can we go any further? If you know yourself and not the enemy, what are the chances of winning and losing? Anybody? 50-50, yeah. But if you don't know yourself and you don't know your enemy, what will be the chances of winning?
Zero.
Zero. That is Art of War, the ancient military, and this is where strategy comes from. It is originated from the Greek word of strategos. And in modern management, Henry Mintzberg defined it as decision making. How you make decision. All right. Now, as I mentioned, decision making usually belongs to the C-suite, right? But then now the firms realize that no, we have to engage the middle manager and the operation. So okay, many firms now start bringing the second layer, the third layer, and they came strategizing, but they were all looked at me like, Doctor, I've never strategized before. And those are the looks that I have on my faces. Those are the looks that, okay, I'm very friendly, you see. When it comes to strategizing, I would just like, sometimes I get exasperated, so this is what had happened. You look at my face, it's so, I wasn't telling horror story then, but then it looks like horrified. Okay, now, yes. Now, so, as months, went by, I thought that, how can I make this simpler? How can I make strategizing easier for the second, the third layer, or for the children? And then the idea came how to, you have a fusion of Art of War, the ancient military strategy, the Art of War, and the ancient art of folding paper, origami. How many of you have tried origami before? Yeah, so I thought, why not? Because strategizing requires creativity. When people who come and sit for strategizing, where creativity took holiday, it's really hard to get things going. So we came with this idea together with my friend, Dr. Christy, my PhD student, Monica Chen, and my sister, she's here. Could you wave your hand, Monica Tan? Okay, so we invented the SWOT metrics strategizing tool for personal use. Why is it for personal use? Why is it not for like company? We call it like SWOT for company. Because people who come for strategizing are individuals, not company. If it's already inculcated in you, the art of strategizing, when you get together, it's just wonderful. So we have this. Again, it is very interesting actually when Admiral Yi, just now, how it played out, how he could defeat the Japanese fleet. Let's take a look at this three bubble. We always hear people talk about how to find your niche. Are you familiar with the word niche? Niche, you know, like photo frame, the niche. A niche in a business. Niche in a business would be, this comes from the theory, a well-done research. Niche would be, all right, when you have the capacity and capability to offer, and there is demand for that, and your competitor cannot catch up with you yet. I'm using the word unable to catch up with you yet. So the key thing here is that you have to get there first, because they will catch up with you. Niche does not mean you will be there forever, but at least you get there first. Are you with me?
Yes.
Right? So that is what we call niche, and therefore the lesson would be understanding all these elements, not that far different from what happened hundreds of years ago. There you go. So here, now, I believe that you have one piece in your hand and it can do origami even though in semi-darkness. Would you just follow the video? Let's start, shall we? You can do that in semi-darkness. Let's do the folding. Right? Why do we get into folding? Because origami really tap into that part of your brain, the creative part of your brain. Look at the S and W. You fold S and W first. The two flaps, you fold it in like this, and then you fold O and T in. All right? Do you have that? And then the next thing, you fold up the vision and core values. Fold it up. And then you see there is a slit there. What you do, you fold the last flap and you just slit it in. And then you have something like a little heart shape behind. You have the SWOT matrix square. You would have this now in your palm, because we believe that this will be a tool that can help you to start your creative thinking process. Now, how do you do that? Okay, that's me. And it's muted because I'm using the microphone today. How you would use that? When you have this, when you go back to your office, wherever you're going back tomorrow, what you can do, open the first flap, and that flap there is asking you what your vision be. Now, the interesting part is that you can have 5 of this in front of you to be 5 different lives that they have been talking about since morning. Do you remember that? Live many lives, multitasking. Sure, no problem. You have the tools now on the how to do it. So you have the to be A, B, C, D. And the next thing, what should I do in order to achieve that? You open the other flap. That will be your mission. The mission will be your, the question there is, my mission is to be for who, everything is guided in here. And then you write down your core values. Core values will be the beliefs, the principles that will see you through despite whatever is happening out there. Okay, so you good with that? The next step would be to open up the O and T flap. Okay, that's vision. Repeat that. Okay, there's the O and T flap. The opportunities. What are the top 3 opportunities out there that can help you? Once again, you look to the right side to help you to achieve your vision. What are the potential threats? You listed out all the top 3, and then finally you open the S and W. What are your core competencies? What are your strengths? 3 top strengths, and after that 3 top weaknesses. And then this is where you go to the strategizing part, where you have 4 quadrants in there. You write your strategy on how to achieve your vision. Yes, this would be something like a Stranger Things kind of doing, but you see, strategizing belongs to everybody. Yeah, I know. Do you watch Stranger Things? Yeah. So this is how you conquer the demagogue in here. Now, how do you strategize? Strategizing for niche is really wonderful. Use your strength to leverage on the opportunities, and you write down in that quadrant there between S and O, the verb and the noun. You write it. If you have any weaknesses, you better address that, and better still, leverage on the opportunity you have identified to overcome your weaknesses. Look at the threat as well. When weaknesses and threats intersected, you have to decide whether to say no. Because remember, people like Steve Jobs often talked about the real focus would be to say no to things that are appealing to you, but it doesn't help you. Right? Now, I think I overshot so everyone can strategize. The reasons that we have this are actually three things. Number one, these appeal to your tactile senses, holding and touching. I'm not sure whether you still remember your first development assessment when you were young and being brought to the clinic by your mother. The nurse would handle everything and then you try to touch and then the nurse would take whether you are able to touch and sense, sensory. Okay? And the reason for that would be the moment you are able to touch, number two, the touching will awaken and develop your creativity. In fact, origami has been used in many places, a very developed and modern world, in order to teach something like geometry and mathematics. So I thought that it's very interesting to bring it back to strategy, because strategizing is really a creative process. And finally, why is it not digitized or not being produced in apps? Because we want to teach that you have to really think well before you make your decision, before you write anything here, especially your vision and your mission. Even if you have blanco, to erase it, it is already tainted. Or worse still, you might throw it away. So this is to teach you your decision. If you are the CEO, if you're the leader of the company or the head of the family, your decision is so important. It affects everybody. Yes, you are allowed to make mistake, but it has to be a very calculated risk and mistake that you have taken, not careless risk, careless mistake. So with that, we hope that you will benefit from this personal tool of strategizing. And apart from that, there's another lesson that I want to impart with you. Keep on learning from the elders, your mentors. So here, this is the chairman of our board of directors, and this is our vice chancellor of the University of Technology of Malaysia. He's not here today. And these are the team that is helping me to prepare this tool. So we're very happy. We have copyrighted this, and we hope that you can utilize this for your strategy and for your bigger dreams and for your multitasking and many things that you want to do with your life. Thank you very much, everybody.